Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rich Bradley, President of the Board of Public Service. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Public Service for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. This is a public meeting and there are no lettings today, but we do have one hearing which we will handle at this time. Hearing numbered 8278 is being conducted pursuant to Chapter 8.43 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. The applicant, Heilman Carriage Company, CO Zach Heilman, is proposing to operate a horse-drawn carriage. Due to the nature of the business, the applicant is required to receive a certificate of convenience and necessity issued by this board prior to obtaining a business license from the license collector. As outlined in section 8.43.040 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis, in determining whether public convenience and necessity require the licensing of a horse-drawn vehicles for which application may be made, the Board of Public Service shall take into consideration whether the demand of the public require the proposed or additional horse-drawn vehicle service within the city or any particular part of the city. That existing service is not sufficient to properly meet the needs of the public, the financial responsibility of the applicant, the number, kind, type of equipment, and the color scheme proposed to be used, the increased traffic congestion upon the streets of the city, which may be a result, and whether the safe use of the streets by the public, both vehicular and pedestrian, will be preserved by granting of the additional license, and other relevant facts as the board may deem advisable or necessary. The Board of Public Service had in its possession and is therefore admitted into evidence the following documents. Item 1, a certified copy of Chapter 8.43 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, the applicant's file with the Office of the Secretary, Board of Public Service, which includes A, an application for certificate of convenience and necessity for a horse-drawn vehicle of Zach Heilman. B, public notices as were published and posted for today's hearing. C, a letter sent certified mail to the applicant. D, letter sent on July 13th, 2023 to the Chief of Police, Robert Tracy, Alderwoman Kara Spencer, advising of this hearing. E, March 29th, 2023, the inspection report from Justin Hauser of the Department of Health finding no evidence of violations at the stable facility at 1000 Siri and recommends issuance of a license for a horse-drawn carriage. F, a veterinarian verification of fitness to work for carriage horses completed on 3/25 of 23. And G, a certificate of liability insurance naming the city as the additional insured. The Board of Public Service will swear in and hear from the applicant and those in support of the applicant's proposed use. The board will then allow those in opposition, if any, to address the board. After each side has had an opportunity to speak, the board will then allow for rebuttal. At this time, will the applicant please come forward and be sworn in? And I'd like to note that the applicant is on the phone with the secretary in room 325 of City Hall. Michelle?
Thank you. Mr. Heilman,
Yes.
please raise your right hand.
Yes, ma'am.
The truth that you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the board.
Zachary Heilman, and I'm at 1000 Siri, St. Louis, Missouri.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Rich Bradley, and I will conduct a series of questions. If you would just answer those for me. And at the conclusion of the questions, I will allow you an opportunity to address the board with anything you would like to say. And then we will allow the board to ask you any questions they might have. So are you a resident of the state of Missouri?
Yes.
Okay. And what experience do you have with horse-drawn carriages or other horse-drawn vehicles?
Commercially, I've been driving for about 20 years. I do a wide variety of things. I used to manage the St. Louis Carriage Company, Then I moved to Bloomington, Illinois, and started up my own carriage company, and I worked that for roughly about 12 years. That gave me a vast experience, everything from horse-drawn funerals to weddings to soliciting rides in normal Illinois. Also, done a lot of work in movies and commercials.
Okay. Do you believe there is a sufficient demand for your service to make it necessary and convenient for the public?
Yes, as part of, when I moved down here, I bought the phone number and the website for the what was the St. Louis Carriage Company, and I get calls daily requesting rides.
Okay. Do you believe your operation will create any undue congestion of the city streets?
No,
Okay. And are you committed to operating in a manner that allows safe use of the streets by vehicles and pedestrians?
yes,
And what type of equipment will you be using?
the horses are a draft horse called Percherons, and the carriages are called vis-a-vis, and they're made by the Amish.
Okay. And then I have a series of questions here, and I will cue you one to answer the following. So will you be able to comply with all provisions of chapter 8.43 of the revised code of the city of St. Louis, including the following? A, do you understand that as the operator of the horse-drawn carriage, you are at all times responsible for complying with this board's rules and regulations for horse-drawn vehicles in the city of St. Louis?
Yes,
Okay, B, do you understand that you must comply with the health department's guidebook to horse-drawn vehicles, laws, and regulations?
yes,
C, do you understand that you must submit annually a veterinarian verification of fitness to work on a farm provided by the city's Department of Health?
yes,
D, do you understand that you must maintain the insurance coverage shown on your certificate of insurance during all times that you are operating the carriage in the city of St. Louis?
yes,
And finally, E, do you understand that you must file with this board a report of any accident in which any horse-drawn vehicle owned or operated by you occurred by the 5th day of the next month, and that failing to do so shall be the grounds for forfeiture of this certificate of convenience and license?
yes.
Okay, and at this point, I'm going to let you address the board with any comments that you may have.
I just like Arun, they said, we are getting calls for demand daily, people wanting rides. Obviously don't have the permits and can't quite do that yet, but I do believe that the demand is there. And a lot of the professionals that we work with, I own the horses, but I will tell you, it takes a team to make everything work. And we have a nutritionist on board. We have a primary vet. We have an emergency vet. We have a chiropractor. We have a farrier. Literally, it takes a team of us to make this all work. And trying to do something a little bit different with their care, and think that we can provide a great service.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point in time, I'm going to open the floor up for any questions from any of our board members for our applicant.
Sure.
I don't see any questions from any of the board members. If you have a question, now's the time. Okay, seeing no questions, thank you, sir, for your time. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
At this time, if there's anyone else in favor of the applicant and the proposed establishment and/or service that wish to testify, please come forward and be sworn in. I don't see anyone else on the screen. I don't see anyone else in the chat. Michelle, there's no one else in the room, correct?
That's correct. No one else.
Okay, so let the record reflect that there's no one else here today to testify in favor of the proposed service. Now, if there's anyone who is in opposition to the applicant or this proposed service that wish to testify, please come forward and be sworn in. Again, I don't see anyone on the screen or in the chat, and there's no one in the room, correct?
Correct.
Okay, at this time, let the record reflect that there's also no one here to testify in opposition to the applicant and or the service. The matter concerning hearing number 8278 is now closed and submitted. The board will deliberate the matter following the remaining agenda items. Can you please call the roll?
Director Coyle? Director Davis?
Present.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Pearson?
Present.
Director Scobie? Director Williams? President? Thank you. President Bradley?
Present, we have a quorum. I'll call the meeting in order.
Regular business from the president. Recommendation that approval be given as follows. Plans and specifications for letting number 8761 AOC EOC Phase 2, Package 2 at St. Louis Lambert International Airport at an estimated cost of $5,950,000 to be paid from ordinance number 71005 and 71657. From the Office of Special Events, request the following to be approved, subject to certain conditions. There are 4 special events to be declared as festival zones. Number 1, food truck parks for UPCI convention will take place on Olive between 8th and 9th Street, on 9th between Olive and Locust, and on Chestnut between 7th and Broadway on July 26th through the 28th, 2023. Setup and tear down will begin on July 26th at 9 a.m. and end on July 28th by 11 p.m. Number 2, Blues at the Arch will take place on Washington Avenue between 1st and 2nd Street on August 11th, 2023 from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and on August 12th from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Number 3, St. Joan of Arc Homecoming will take place on Aletha between Sulphur and Hampton Avenue, September 9th, 2023, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and September 10th, 2023, from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. Setup and tear down will begin September 7th at 4 p.m. and ends September the 11th by 4 p.m. Number 4, Winterfest at Kena Plaza will take place at Kena Plaza on November 1st, 2023 through January 1st, 2024. From the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 131717, request from Gateway Fireworks Display to conduct a pyrotechnic display at the World's Fair Pavilion in Forest Park on Saturday, August 12, 2023 at 9:45 p.m. From the Director of Public Utilities, recommendation that the board declares as emergency action the following: Hall Street Manifold Chamber Radio Tower Antenna and associated cable connectors repair. This work is needed to replace damaged tower mast, communication cable, and Yagi antenna. The estimated cost of this work is $5,540. All labor, parts, and equipment to repair a 24-inch cone valve, several sluice gate guides, and multiple potable water pumps and associated impeller rotating assemblies. This 96-year-old sluice gates, 50 to 60-year-old pumps and impeller, the estimated cost of this work is $295,000. From the Director of Streets, recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application, a request from La Crazy Margarita Mexican Restaurant LLC to encroach with 6 tables and 12 chairs for a sidewalk cafe utilizing 192 square foot with liquor at 3131 South Grand. Recommendation that the following be denied. Application number 131701, request from ICD Retail LLC doing business as Clementine's to encroach with tables and chairs for a sidewalk cafe at 308 North Euclid due to the lack of adequate sidewalk space to put tables and chairs and still maintain 4 feet of open, unobstructed walkway. The area by the curb cannot be used due to vehicle parking. From the Director of Public Safety and Utilities, Joint recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Request from Metron Surveying and Layout Company to consolidate the lot at 1904 Schweitzer Avenue in City Block 4334. Request from Ian Silverman to consolidate lots 1 and 2, Block 1, St. Louis Hills Edition at 6536 and 6540 Chippewa Street in City Block 6190. Request from Ekron Asphalt LP to adjust the boundary at 114 East Loughborough Avenue in City Block 3009. Request from Mossman Construction Company to subdivide 5700 L Ward Avenue into 2 lots in City Block 4350. Request from Savvy Design Group, the Sterling Company, to consolidate the lots at 5116 and 5118 Shaw Avenue into a single lot in City Block 4081. From the Directors of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that one application from BJC TRC be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 00090 for 4214 Duncan Avenue. Joint recommendation that 2 applications from Charter be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 00101 for 4918 Wise Avenue, and application number 00104 for 5130 Wise Avenue. Joint recommendation that 2 applications from AT&T be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 00111 for 1253 East Road. Application number 00113 for 2701 Henrietta Street. From the Director of Public Safety, request from the Fire Department to accept a donation from the 10-8 Project Foundation to be added to the St. Louis Fire Department fleet. The 2003 Ford van will be used to transport and respond to incidents that require the service of the St. Louis Fire Department K-9 Response Task Force. There are 4 conditional use permits. Steve? Steve, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted. Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the board. My name is Steve Narr, zoning plan examiner for the city of St. Louis, representing the building commissioner. Per board order number 766, transmitted here with our recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Recommendation that 3 conditional use permits be approved, subject to certain conditions. 1, 3525 Watson Road, the rear unit. Number 2, 3816 West Florissant Avenue. And number 3, 3225 Merrimack Street, first floor. Recommendation that 1 conditional use permit be denied. That's 3900 Lexington Avenue.
Thank you, Steve. Are there any questions on any of today's conditional uses? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
So moved, Scobie.
Second, Davis.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle? Director Davis? Director Hayes is excused.
Aye. It was such a strong aye. Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Pearson?
Aye.
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Williams?
Aye.
President Bradley?
Aye, today's conditional uses are approved. Thank you. Hearing number 8278 Heileman Carriage, CO Zach Heileman proposing to operate a horse-drawn carriage. We had information provided as evidence today that the facility passed the inspection from the Department of Health, that the applicant has provided a certificate of liability insurance, naming the city as additional insured, has applied for the certificate of convenience and necessity, and will comply with all provisions of chapter 8.43 of the revised code. There was no additional testimony in support nor opposition. And so with that brief history, I will open the floor up for any discussion. Seeing no discussion, I'll ask for a motion, please.
I move to approve. Scobie?
Second,
Second,
Davis.
Pearson.
Oop, he got me.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle, Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused, Director Pearson, Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, hearing number 8278 is approved. Thank you. I'd like to turn your attention to our meeting minutes from last Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. Are there any questions or comments on the meeting minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
So move, Pearson.
Second, Davis.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle, Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused, Director Pearson,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, the meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. Today's agenda, are there any questions or comments on our meeting agenda today? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
So move, Scobie?
Second, Williams.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle, Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused, Director Pearson,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, today's meeting agenda is approved. Before we adjourn, are there any questions or any comments from any of our board directors? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So move,
Pearson.
Scobie?
We don't want to leave.
Wow. Wow. I heard a motion from Director Scobie, Director Pearson. Was that a second? I believe. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a nice afternoon.
Have a good one.
Bye,
Aye.
everyone.
Uh,